Hello everybody, in this video we are going to be discussing the seasonal outlook this fall for the potential for severe weather as we finish out September, move into October and then November, before we really transition over into the deep winter months that I would classify as December through really beginning of March. So I'm looking for a couple things here when I'm kind of studying, researching what I think this fall will present in terms of severe weather here in the Midwest. And just to clarify for any new listeners here, I am focused on this Michigan, Ohio, Indiana region. However, in this video, I'm going to create a seasonal outlook for really the whole Midwest, Mississippi, Upper Mississippi Valley, Great Lakes region, colored here in yellow. So starting off here, I'm going to be sticking with sea surface temperature anomalies. And so an anomaly is essentially the difference from the average that the sea surface temperatures are. Here you can see this is a whole world map of SSTs, these sea surface temperature anomalies. And we're going to be looking at a couple regions in particular. The first region that we're going to be focusing heavily on is our ENSO phase. So this area out here in the central Pacific off the coast here of South America, south of Mexico here. Another region we're going to look at is the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, or the PDO, which is up here south of Alaska off the coast of the western United States. That is the PDO, the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. And then lastly, I'm going to be looking at the Gulf of Mexico and down into the Caribbean sea surface temperatures to kind of get an idea here of what we could be looking at using analogs from other years that had similar sea surface temperature anomaly makeups, and trying to decipher here what we maybe could see for a second severe weather season here in the Midwest. And so why am I looking at these sea surface temperature anomalies? Why do these have any say in the weather all the way up in here? Well, the main driver of weather, especially here in North America, is the jet stream, especially the Arctic jet. We call this the Arctic jet here, this blue line I have drawn up through North America. And then we also have a subtropical jet here. The subtropical jet does not have near the influence on severe weather in the fall and spring seasons, more in the summer seasons. So we're going to be thinking here about the influence of the jet stream. What do these sea surface temperature anomalies do to the jet stream that would cause severe weather? For a jet stream that would be conducive for severe weather here in the Midwest, we want what's called big troughs. We want big long wave troughs with embedded short waves. So say we have a flat jet stream here. This would not be conducive at all for severe weather because this would not cause any low pressure or high pressure regions. We need to have circulations in order to cause high pressure and low pressure. You need to have fluid in motion, in rotating motion. Low pressure would be rotating counterclockwise, and a high pressure would be rotating clockwise here in the northern hemisphere. So what we want in order to get these high pressure and low pressures is we actually want a jet stream that is looping, it's troughing. It looks like a big wave here. And so this, let me go over that in yellow here so you can see a little bit better. This is the look we want in the jet stream. We want it dipping down where it's going to bring cold and dry Arctic air down here. It's going to create a low pressure right here at the kind of the bottom of this wave, create a low pressure. It's going to suck down that cold dry air from Canada, and then it's going to bring up this warm moist air from the Gulf, and you're going to get all your wind shear right in here. You're going to have your cold air meeting your warm moist air under that trough, and that's where we're going to get our severe weather. So looking at the sea surface temperature anomalies, we're trying to get an idea of how they're actually going to affect the jet stream, and especially this region we call the ENSO out here in the Central Pacific, and then the PDO, the Pacific Decadal Oscillation up here in the Northern Pacific, these have big implications on our jet stream because it's originating from out here over here, flowing from the west. So what am I looking for when it comes, like, what makes for an active severe weather season? What have we seen in the past? What patterns have emerged that we see that actually cause active second severe weather seasons here, especially in the Midwest that we're focusing on, but in a larger portion, the whole contiguous United States? I'm looking, number one, the number one pattern that really evolves, and again, this is on a year-to-year basis, so a lot, there's always, weather's very dynamic. There's always something changing with weather. Two factors aren't always the same, so these predictions aren't like cut and dry. There can be some that can affect severe weather chances negatively or positively that just aren't going to fit into the overall mold here that I'm trying to make. And that's okay. This is just an outlook. We're not trying to forecast specific days or anything like that. I'm just trying to get kind of a grasp of what to expect here as we go throughout the fall. And so the first thing that I look at is the ENSO phase. This is normally what is most important for severe weather production up here into the United States. Right now, you can see we have kind of warm waters here embedded in an area of kind of blue, the blue color here. So blue is, as you can see here over on the right side, that's a negative. That is a negative anomaly, and anything with a warmer color is obviously a warmer anomaly. So what we're seeing right now, it's kind of a mix of red and blues out here in the ENSO region. And so we're going to call the ENSO region fairly neutral right now. So it's pretty close to the mean here, pretty neutral. And it might even be dipping down into La Nina, which is a cooler than average ENSO phase. And several research papers that have come out over like the past decade have actually linked neutral to La Nina ENSO phase to, it has contributed to a more active second severe weather season here in the Midwest, especially into this Ohio Valley region, especially coming up into the Midwest and Great Lakes region. So the first sign that I see here, this ENSO phase, this shows me maybe a positive. So maybe a little bit more active of a severe weather season here, but that's not our only factor. Coming up here to the PDO, which we said, the Pacific Decadal Oscillation up here in the Northern Pacific, this has been positive for some time. As you can see here, it's very, very strongly positive. Again, warm colors are a warmer anomaly. Very, very above average temperatures out here in the PDO region. And over the past couple of years, this has been a thing. This has been a positive anomaly for some time now, and that's why the years really, the 2023, 2024, 2025 have been pretty active tornado seasons into the second season. And that is definitely, I think, in part because of this PDO. As long as we have this warm water up here in the Northern Pacific, and especially with a La Nina phase down here in ENSO, we're going to get more troughing over the United States, especially over the central United States. And so I think this being warm is, again, another indicator that we might have a little bit more active of a second severe weather season here in the Midwest, or really more troughing. So now that we have kind of glossed over out here in the Pacific our factors affecting severe weather out here in the Pacific, both factors are seemingly positive for an above average second severe weather season over here in the Midwest. So from a storm chasing perspective, I'm liking what I'm seeing. From a severe weather forecasting perspective, maybe expecting a couple more bouts of severe weather than we would like to see normally in the early to mid fall months. Now let's go ahead and take a look here at the temperatures in the Gulf. As you can see, just off of the Florida coast here, a little bit cooler waters, and then a little bit cooler waters up here as you get farther north into the Atlantic, obviously, because the latitude increases, less solar radiation, you're getting less heat transfer into the water. However, down here, these ocean temperatures are very, very warm. If we go back over here into our global view with the actual anomalies, you can see that really the whole of this Gulf and the Caribbean is above average, except for the cool water we were talking about off the coast of the Florida Panhandle. Warm, above average Gulf of Mexico sea surface temperatures, and I think that's because we have not had any or very much hurricane activity at all. We haven't had any upwelling. That's pretty much because of rough seas up top and a low pressure. We have cooler water from underneath getting upwelled, pulled up from down below up to the surface and mixing in cooler water to the surface that cools down the surface of the sea. After Aaron passed through here, you could actually see the sea surface temperature decreased a lot there for about a week and a half due to upwelling. But because we have not had any hurricane activity thus far, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any soon, this Gulf temperatures have remained steadily above average, and that means that our moisture pool that these troughs will be working with could be a little bit more robust here as we go into the second season. A lot of times we have a lot of wind shear, but not enough moisture and instability in the early season and second season of severe weather. But with warmer than average Gulf temperatures, we could get better moisture up here into the Midwest come late season, which would support more severe weather. So overall, I'm seeing a kind of resounding pattern that would support a more robust severe weather probabilities here in the second season than we normally see. Now, that is not to say we're going to have like huge tornado counts in the second season. That's just to say we might see a little bit more tornadoes and severe weather than normal here in the second season. And I don't think that's going to be like day after day we're going to get severe weather. I'm thinking we're going to have maybe one or two big trough ejections over the central United States that could be the cause for maybe one or two robust severe weather events this fall due to this, again, neutral to La Nina Enzo phase, and then a positive anomaly up here in the Pacific Decadal Oscillation and warmer than normal temperatures here in the Gulf. So kind of interesting looking here at this climatology. I was doing a little bit of research earlier though, because I was kind of looking at analogs, like what years had a very similar look. And one that stuck out to me, even though it does have a pretty large difference up here in the PDO, which it has huge influences, is 2013. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tornado reports for 2013. 2013 had two very notable severe weather outbreaks. And like I was saying, I could see with this climatology us getting one, two, or three big trough ejections that could be the cause for some one or two severe weather events here as we go throughout the fall. Obviously, follow this channel and you will be informed if any of those ingredients come together. Back to 2013 here, though. We had, I believe this was October 4th, 2013. I could be wrong. Yep, so October 4th, 2013, we had a localized tornado outbreak over here in Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, and then a big event here that was the last time Michigan and this Indiana, Ohio area was in a high risk. November 17th, 2013 was the cause for a couple EF4s, very significant tornado outbreak. And again, this is just an analog year. Some of the things are very similar to 2013. In 2013, we had a very similar situation in the Enso area. We had a neutral Enso phase, which kind of stayed neutral for some time. We're going to be transitioning into a La Nina in the winter months, but during the fall, it will remain neutral. Per a lot of climatology resources, it is expected to remain neutral. So that's very similar to 2013. Another thing that's very similar to 2013 is these above average Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico sea surface temperatures, which allowed better moisture transport up here into the Midwest. Now, the big factor that was much different in 2013 was we had a negative PDO in 2013, meaning the waters up here in the northern Pacific were cooler than average. Now, it was not much cooler than average. It was just, maybe a degree and a half Celsius or, maybe less than a degree Celsius cooler. But it was cooler. So that is a major difference here, which you would think normally would be a limiting factor, but it wasn't in 2013. We had two big, robust troughs that came through, causing these severe weather events. And I think this year could be pretty similar to 2013. Not that we're going to get robust tornado outbreaks. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, that's very unlikely to happen, just like 2013. But I am going to suggest that we may get a couple troughs here, a couple big, we call them mega troughs, to work in here during the fall months. We'll have a heightened, more active jet stream during the second season with a little bit better moisture that we'll be working with. I think we might get one or two severe weather events going throughout the fall here into the Midwest and Great Lake region. In fact, we can go ahead and look at what the jet stream is looking like right now. As you can see here, it does look like it's going to be fairly heightened here. You can see several little short waves, maybe even a longer wave trough starting to work in here in this forecast range. So this is the American ensemble here. So this kind of backs up a little bit what I'm thinking here for this severe weather season, or for 2025's second severe weather season. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my ramble. I hope you guys get something out of this forecast outlook, this fall outlook. I like doing it, and hopefully nothing significant happens in the way of any severe weather impact. Again, looks like we may have some type of heightened second severe weather season in this area, especially in the Ohio River Valley and Midwest regions come the end of September, not October and November. But again, highly unlikely that we're going to see any widespread tornadoes, just maybe one or two bigger severe weather events. So that is my 2 cents on this fall. Thank you for watching, and be sure to give the page a like and a follow if you want more content like this.